Yeah. As we are on chessboard, I want not too political question, but I want to ask you, what is the Gandhian ideology you see?
Well, Gandhi, is a very complicated person um, as a philosopher. And the interesting thing with Gandhi, I'm not a super expert on Gandhian philosophy, but I have interacted with many historians, with many philosophers who have done serious work on Gandhi.
Hmm.
The thing with Gandhi is, if you look at his history from when he was a barrister studying in England, then he goes to South Africa. What he sees in South Africa with the racism really forms his ideas of society and social
Hmm.
justice. There, it was a question of the blacks and the whites,
Hmm.
but also the Asians, the Indians, because there
Yeah.
was an Indian community there. So that even Gandhi's whole only history in South Africa is very rich
Yes.
and interesting in how he deals with that. But then when he comes here and he, understands the caste issues, um, he has a complicated reaction because in one way now you look at it that he believes that within the structure of Hinduism as it was structured with the castes,
Hmm.
that you could still leave that structure intact,
Yeah.
but give rise to rights of the oppressed castes.
Hmm.
That was the big battle he had with Ambedkar. Because Ambedkar, coming from low caste, highly educated, highly brilliant man, uh, and it was Ambedkar's brilliance which made him the chief resistor against the caste system.
Hmm.
Ambedkar's whole idea was that it has to be completely smashed,
Yes.
that the whole structure has to be demolished. So this debate went on, but Gandhi's ideas also changed over time, and that was the greatness with Gandhi. He would not, stick if he began to realize that there was some aspect of his belief which was not correct, he would change with time, and he was honest and open to that change. And I think the thing with Gandhi, he comes dressed in Western clothes in the legal robes of England. But then his understanding of coming here and the reason of khadi, etc., was to connect with the ordinary peasant, the poorest of the poor, the working, literally the working class. And he became a labor leader in Ahmedabad,
Hmm.
etc. So, here he was a totally modern man,
Hmm.
but he learned about our society through traveling over India, and he developed this whole philosophy, which became, in a sense, it was adopted by the Congress,
Hmm.
and it led to this mass movement against the British. And it was a people's movement. And that whole use of khadi, etc., I mean, even now we're wearing
Yeah.
handloom, um, was something amazing that Gandhi developed and understood. Now, that whole history, there's also this complicated thing is was Gandhi anti-industrial, etc., which he really wasn't. They call him a Luddite, that he's
Hmm.
against development. But now when you're looking at the climate crisis and ecological crisis, Gandhi's whole idea was, how do you live with nature without being destructive? And now we're seeing that.
Yes.
So that whole idea of Gandhi is actually now become so relevant
Yes.
with this overuse of plastics, uh, how we are poisoning
Hmm.
our environment. So his idea of the village, develop the village economy. It was a thing of scale,
Yes.
that you give people in their own environment, you give them a decent way of living to make a good life, and
Hmm.
also education. He was very, very fixated on the idea of good education and for women's rights.
Yes.
All of these were looking at Indian society,
Hmm.
and he felt that without education, you were not going to change society. And
Not
also,
at all.
education helped you get equal rights
Yes.
because everyone would be then educated on an equal level.
Yes.
So
Yes.
those ideas, I think, if anyone follows them, that would be great. But I think you see, the RSS is totally against. I mean, not against Gandhi. They actually killed him.
Oh, yes.
So it's a complicated thing. And you see, Gandhi was somebody who was regarded over the whole world. I mean, he was a figure who was a remarkable figure internationally because of his political and social philosophy, which was a human philosophy. And I think a lot of that we have lost.
Yes. As we come to the end, I want to ask you how you want the future generation to interpret your work.
Oh, that you can't you can't direct. You see, when you make work or whatever you leave, whether it's my photography or the graphic design that I've done, the graphics, I've done hundreds and hundreds of book covers.
Yes.
Now, for me, that's very important because the book is something that lasts.
Yes.
And it goes to places that you would never expect.
Yeah.
Somebody will buy a book, and all of the books that I've designed are by historians or social scientists, and some of the biggest in India, the Professor Irfan Habib, some of the foreign philosophers or social scientists or economists,
Yes.
Prabhat Patnaik, Romila Thapar,
Yeah.
these are all people I'm very close to actually.
Oh.
So, in my way of interacting with them has been to help make their books.
Yeah.
So that's something I know will last.
Yes.
And the photography, you can't say, how people will look at it, how it will end up also with. I have all my negatives in Delhi. They're not in any public place, and many of them have not even been printed.
Oh.
Even now, I'm trying to bring Sunil Jana's archive back to India.
I see.
It's in the US.
Yeah.
And I've been working on that for 30 years.
Oh, great.
Because that's an amazing piece of history and an amazing document. I just showed you a small fragment. It's a massive body of work.
Yeah.
And so one doesn't have an ambition, The thing is, you live the life as best you can without causing harm to anybody. And hopefully, bring something positive to society as you're living.
Yes. As you said, you are coming with the American project in India. What are your upcoming projects and exhibition do you want?
Well, one is I'm trying to bring that Jana archive back to India and make it public because a lot of it has not seen. The pictures you saw are very rare to see. But I'm also going through my own archive, and I also have archives of my father and my mother.
Yes.
So there's a huge architecture archive, there's a huge dance archive.
Great.
So I'm now I'm thinking of, where to place them in a publicly accessible manner. Because we don't have a tradition really of keeping archives very well in India. And also like the Nehru Memorial or the National Archives, you see now when the kind of politics change that we've had, that has also become a very dicey issue.
Yes,
because, with their ideas of changing history, etc., you don't know what's happening to the archives in those institutions, which are national institutions.
Yes.
So, we're in a strange situation. So I'm at this point really looking back at my own work because I don't know how much longer I have. I'm almost 70 years old, so I don't have a long time to put it together in some way that it can be out there for anyone who, it makes a difference to.
Okay.
Or who might find something interesting in it.
Yes. So the very last question, how you want people to remember you?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. You can't decide that. That what society thinks of, future generations think of you. Like my parents now both admired because of the work that they did.
Yeah.
So I think if your work is of the best quality and done with the sincerity and a conviction in your own field,
Yes.
whatever it may be, it could be engineering, it could be science,
Yeah.
It could be dance, it could be music. If you have done something which touches people and makes a difference in their life somehow, then you are remembered.
Yes. So this was Rahman sir. Thank you, sir, for your time,
Oh,
and
you're welcome.
we will end this here.